FFMadmen show. I'm your host, Alec Ryer, here with Brendan Inaro
How's it going?
and Brady Mashed Potato Wells.
Hello,
And as you guys probably heard, Murphy's here.
and Murphy's here.
He's being very talkative right now, and it's kind of annoying. Yep.
Hi, Murphy.
So you might hear him a couple times through the show. I apologize. Let me get the stuff going here. All right, guys. Well, week 4 was an interesting one.
It started off interesting.
Ended kind of poorly. Still going on technically with the Monday night game.
Go Tyler Boyd.
Yeah. Me and Brady are rooting for Tyler Boyd, and me and Brandon are rooting against James Conner this week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried considering he needs 150 points, but...
Well, I am, because I need Tyler Boyd to score 10 more points than Conner today. I need Conner to score... I'm up by 10 going into today. Let's go with that. Anyways, Find us on Twitter at MadmenFF. You can find all the shows on YouTube by searching FFMadmen. You can find us on Facebook, like the page there, Fantasy Football Madmen, and then you can now listen to us on Spotify. So if you can't catch the show, all the shows will be uploaded to Spotify the next day.
Hooray.
So go do that. Go follow that as well. We moved to a different day. Monday, it's kind of a test right now. We'll see how it goes. But we're definitely on Wednesdays every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, and either Monday or Tuesday, but we'll let you know the show beforehand, which day we're doing it on. Anyways, let's get into some news. Some minor, I wouldn't say this minor news, but Bradley Chubb is now done for the year. Bradley Chubb, the linebacker for the Denver Broncos, not Nick Chubb.
Yep.
Bradley Chubb, out for the season after he tore his ACL. So this defense remains vulnerable.
They are 0-4, so...
They are 0-4, but is that entirely on the defense?
No, they had 2 games where they should have won, and then, well, I guess the defense kind of let the other team drive down and kick a field goal at the end.
Yeah, or the refs, but here we are.
Anyways, the defense doesn't look to be getting any better anytime soon.
Yeah.
It's Chris Harris and Von Miller.
I'm so glad you got that, Brady. For all the Bears fans out there.
Yeah.
Still got the dub, though. 3-1.
Yeah. More, injury news that could impact fantasy. Tyron Smith, the left tackle for the Cowboys, is already ruled out for next week. How is this going to impact the running game, Brendan?
Well, I mean, we already, I don't know. I'm not too impressed by the Cowboys running game this year. It should be fantastic, but Zeke's not, I don't know. Zeke's playing mediocre to me. And I think with, Smith being out, it's going to affect, a lot more coming from, that left-hand side. And Zeke, they give the ball to Zeke, a ridiculous amount of times every week. So I think you're definitely going to see an impact to it. I mean, you're still going to see the touches from Zeke, but maybe not see as many yards.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're against an easier defense running-wise this week, though.
Going up against Green Bay, yeah. If you guys watched the Thursday game, it was not pretty when it comes to run defense.
Oh, no.
Packers.
No, it was not.
In bigger news, Vontaze Burfict had a helmet-to-helmet hit against the Colts this week and has been suspended for the remainder of the season.
Boo, get this guy out of here, man.
This guy doesn't deserve to be in the NFL.
No, he doesn't. He's
broken.
Him and AB need to go hang out together.
Well, they were on the same team for a while.
Well,
and
they can go couch potato themselves while they watch NFL Sundays.
Yeah, well, and Burfict is the one that hit Brown and gave him his concussion, so...
Yeah. He's just
Maybe they'll have something to talk about.
Like, if you don't follow these new rules, this helmet-to-helmet contact, he's continually not followed it, so the penalties are getting stricter and stricter, and this is just another step.
Yeah, the guy's been fined over $5 million through his career. And has been suspended, I think, 13 times. I get 14 now. This is the longest of all of his suspension, obviously. But
yeah, he's going to appeal, so we'll see what happens.
He's not going to win it. They just need to kick him out. Just be like,
no, he's not going to win it.
Yeah.
All right, more fantasy relevant news. Bills are planning to start Matt Barkley next week against the Titans due to another helmet-to-helmet hit. Another real dirty hit that we saw during that game.
Dude, that is going to be an offensive showdown in that game.
He's joking.
Bills v Titans.
I don't know. The
That-
Titans showed out offensively this week.
Yeah, we'll see. If
We'll
that
get into
continues.
that.
I don't buy into the Marcus Mariota hype ever.
You never do. Also, Washington, you got your first look at Dwayne Haskins. It wasn't
Nice.
pretty.
I have opinions on that. I'll keep it for later on in the show, but
Okay.
it was our
Okay.
first look at Haskins, but it probably shouldn't have been our first look at Haskins.
Nor do I think that was entirely his fault. But again, we'll get into that later. But the question I do want to ask is, does it really matter who's throwing the ball to McLaurin?
I think it matters if McLaurin's on the field. But
It
I don't
obviously
think
matters. That's why I'm asking the question. It obviously matters if McLaurin's on the field.
I don't know if. I mean, it will make a difference, but Haskins is used to throwing to McLaurin because they went to college
Yeah.
together.
But
Yeah,
Keenum's
he-
been able-
Case Keenum's been throwing well to McLaurin, and then we might see Colt McCoy as well. So
Oh, baby. Good old Cole
Yeah.
McCoy.
he's been around for a while.
I know it's like when Matt Barkley came out on the field, I was like, wait, that guy's still alive?
Yeah, that guy's still in the NFL. All right, on to notable injuries. Some of these are still a bit
Lingering?
early. A bit
Oh.
early. We'll definitely know more by Wednesday's show, like what all these mean and if they're going to be missing some time. We'll start with Christian Kirk, who exited on the second to last play of the game due to an
Oof.
ankle injury. It looked
Yeah.
way worse than what they're
looked,
reporting.
It looked horrible.
Like I thought he
Like,
might
if
have
you
torn his
wa-
ACL.
If you watched it, I was like, that's gonna be season ending right there.
Mhm.
I for sure, I thought it was season ending when I watched it, and I was like, oh man, and especially coming in so late in the game in the last quarter like that, you're like, having him on a fantasy team, you're just like, well, there's
He's
that.
been so good.
That was me.
target-wise.
That was me. Yeah, he's going into this week. He was third in the NFL in targets. And as soon as
Crazy.
I saw him, as soon as I saw the tackle, I'm like, oh no. And then he got back up and he was limping. I was like, okay, he's limping, but maybe he can run it off. Next play, he gets the ball again, doesn't run, just goes straight down and doesn't get back up. And I'm like, oh god, there goes my wide receivers. Like I was
Right.
like, great. McLaurin's out, Kirk's out. Like, but we'll see if McLaurin misses extra time. Another receiver that tended went down for another leg injury. Kenny Stills came up limping early in the game against the Panthers. Here it is. Panthers.
Yeah, I watched that like right as it happened, and I was
Mhm.
like, oh, there's Kenny Stills another catch, because I was actually talking about him last week on the Wednesday show, talking about how I think could potentially in the future become a pretty decent flex play. And
Not
of
without a
course-
hamstring.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah, not anymore. But
Mhm. Well, I played
was
him in my
talking
flex
about
this
that.
week in redraft. I think is when I played him.
Oh.
Bigger news, I think it's Mitchell Trubisky. He left on what, the third play of the game, right, Brady?
Third down, yeah, it was third down.
Yeah,
Third play of the
Yeah.
game
on that fumble.
due to a dislocated shoulder, left shoulder, non-throwing shoulder, and a partial labrum tear.
Yep.
They didn't say they give us an exact timetable of when he'd be back, but he is going to miss some games, and I don't think he's going to be traveling with the team to London next week to take on the Raiders.
No, I've seen sooner rather than later because it looked like he could have been out for a while,
Yeah,
but I think I think as early as they'll probably get him to the bye because they have a bye week 6, I think.
yeah.
But,
That'd be
I
nice.
agree. You probably
After
see
the
him
bye,
come
he'll
back.
probably come back.
Yeah,
He
I
could
agree.
start the week after this week though. I think there's a possibility.
Well, the week after this week is their bye week.
Is it?
Well, we're going
Yeah,
into week
we're in
5
week
next
5.
week.
Oh yeah, it totally is.
Yeah,
I have the
so
schedule as my screensaver. So.
we could see him as early as week 7, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think against the Saints.
Okay. Another quarterback injury, Josh Allen, who's the one that took the helmet-to-helmet hit. That was the guy wasn't kicked out of the game. I don't remember who it was, but
It was.
They won the
bad.
game on that hit. I think.
pretty much like
Yeah.
they could have won this game. But again, we'll get into the games a little bit later. But yeah, Josh Allen being evaluated for a concussion. The Bills are planning to start Barkley, so we'll see how that pans out. I wouldn't be surprised if he misses a game, just precautionary. Missing the Titans game probably wouldn't be the worst one to miss.
That's true.
I think. TJ Hawkinson, he tried to hurdle a guy and came down real hard on his head.
It's what happens when you try to jump over a human being.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
Kinda crazy
and then
how
don't
that works.
land. Yeah.
Kind of
Gotta stop
crazy
it,
how that
man.
where they see all this thing where people do it all the time. I'm like, y'all are idiots. You can come down on your head, and it's exactly what happened.
But he
Yeah,
is avoiding the IR, which is good news. Because it looked bad. As soon as he hit the ground, his entire body went ragdoll. I was like, oh, he's out. He might have knocked himself out.
Yeah.
It's definitely a possibility. Another concussion is Jarvis Landry, who was Brady's sit of the week last week.
I picked the wrong receiver.
You
Should
did.
have picked Odell.
You did. But again, we'll get into that later. He's being evaluated for a concussion. Again, we'll know more on Wednesday. And just before, about 30 minutes before the show started, Devontae Adams, who has, I believe it's turf toe. Is it turf
Yes.
toe? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Adam Schefter reported that it was unlikely that he'll play on Sunday against Dallas.
Right.
So.
And that's just one of those injuries you have to monitor every week because it could last a while. I don't think it will.
No, I think he probably misses a week.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, that's all the injuries we have, notable injuries, fantasy-wise, we have this week. Again, we'll know more on Wednesday. We're getting on to our fantasy standouts. Brendan, I want you to talk about our first guy, the number one quarterback this week. You guys see it on your screen. We do have a new logo that was made up by Kelly, Brendan's wife. It looks incredible. Thank you, Kelly. And we have some information for you guys on there. The top players, PPR point-wise, from week 4. And we're going to talk about those guys right now. So, Brennan.
Yeah, Jameis Winston. I mean, he finished off with 38 points. He was 28 for 41 and 385 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a offensive shootout. That game was very, very high scoring, and there was a lot of fantasy points to go around for anybody you had on either of those teams for the most part. He played really well. I was actually very surprised. I mean, 28 for 41 is pretty decent. And Jameis Winston coming off, his first week which was horrendous, is starting to improve over the last couple weeks, which is nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
He's hitting his 2 favorite targets, Godwin and Mike Evans, consistently. The running game's looking good. I mean, it's just their offense is, Bruce Arian. Here we are. He's shown.
You should see him improve too, because it's a new offense every week. This is just, I mean, it's probably a bit of a breakout kind of game, but I think you can start thinking about the fact that this could happen, like 300 yards and a few touchdowns every week.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the Jameis that we all wanted to see coming into the season. Am I right?
Yeah, with Bruce Arians.
Yeah,
This is what
we want. So did my fantasy team.
Yeah. Yeah. And then week 1, and a lot of people dropped Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
But we could be seeing this on a consistent basis. But that's all up to.
Yeah, he's had 2 good games leading up to this game.
The last 3 weeks have been pretty good, including this one. So 2, 3, and 4 have been good games.
Yeah.
For Winston, fantasy wise.
Yeah.
All right, on to our second quarterback we have here. Brady, I want you to tell you because you love this guy so much. Aaron Rodgers, quarterback of the Green Bay.
It's another guy who we expected to be this kind of what we expected. It's where people drafted him early in fantasy. They had to throw the ball a little more this game too. 53 pass attempts, which is quite a lot for 422 yards, and he did throw 2 touchdowns. Had a pick, and I think he fumbled as well.
There was a fumble,
Devontae Adams, he basically got Devontae Adams going, which was nice to see. But this is, if you drafted Aaron Rodgers, I mean, you have to play him every week because you drafted him so high, and this is what you were hoping for, realistically.
Yeah. This is the Aaron Rodgers that fantasy
he
drafted him for. Exactly.
Took a step in the positive direction. He had not been playing well. And they lost still, too. So
yeah, in a losing effort, he did. Mark said he could throw 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. He threw 400 yards and 2 touchdowns. So
yeah,
typical Aaron Rodgers. Up next, we have the running back position, and we have a guy that balled out this week. Nick Chubb carried the ball 20 times for 165 yards and 3 touchdowns. One of those touchdowns coming on an 88-yard run that reminded me a lot of last year's 92-yard touchdown run. Looked very similar to that, like similar play. It was great, but he looked outstanding out there.
Yeah, I mean, what Brady said it the best when we were in, the group call here, and it was what do the Browns need to do to win? And it was not let Baker Mayfield throw the ball, and that's what happened, and they won.
As much.
Yeah.
Give the ball to Chubb.
Well, they were winning most of the game too. This game script helped his numbers as well.
They were. All right, running back 2 on the day was Christian McCaffrey. Had another stellar performance as he always has.
How many times did he touch the ball? 37 times.
37 times.
What was the stat that came out? It was something like how many running backs for Carolina have touched the ball, and it was like Christian McCaffrey like way over like 200 something, and it was like the
next guy was 4.
Like 4.
Yeah, everyone else 0.
1 a week. He's gotten 1 a week.
So if I remember the stat, I don't have it written down, but if I remember this stat, he's on pace for 344 carries, over 100 receptions, and over 2,500 total yards.
Yeah, he's on pace to break the record.
25. It was 2,516, and the NFL record, who was set by Chris Johnson in 2009. Yeah, 2009 was 2,506. So he's on pace to break that.
Crazy volume, man.
I mean, he could do it. There's no one else. Who are they else going to give the ball to?
Nobody.
Samuel.
Well, again, we'll get into games and we can talk about that in a little bit. I want to jump into our wild card. We had a wild card just because this guy had a monster week, and it was also from Thursday night.
The hell, Thursday night?
Yeah, Jordan Howard had 32.5 fantasy points last week. He only touched the ball 18 times.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot.
It's crazy what happens when you get blocking.
Yeah, it was one of those other things that this is going to happen to a goal line back when you touch the ball 18 times and you're the goal line back in a good offense. Games happen. He got goal line touchdowns. He caught a touchdown. He caught a nice wheel route.
I know. It was actually really exciting to see that, because I did not think it was Jordan Howard, and then I looked at it and I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, it's nice that they mixed it up. Like he typically would come in to run, but if he's coming in and catching passes too, like it's a pretty good running back if the volume continues, because he's the goal line guy.
Had 3 catches on 4 targets for 28 yards and that wheel route for a touchdown. That was That was nice. All right, on to the receivers. We didn't even know this guy was going to play until about 30 minutes before kickoff. That's Chris Godwin.
That's frustrating. Just because, like,
if he was on your bench, Mom,
I played him.
I'm sorry.
I played him. Y'all are dumb for not playing him. There are 2 targets that James Winston even goes to, and it's Mike Evans, as we saw last week, and Chris Godwin, as we saw the 2 weeks before that. So
last week. That was last week.
Yeah. No, 2 weeks ago it was Chris Godwin.
2 weeks ago it was
Last
Chris Godwin.
week was Mike Evans.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the 40 point.
Yeah, and this
40 point games.
Yeah. It was a tough start, though, because if he's a game-time decision and he's in the second slate of games, if you didn't have somebody to pivot to, it was tough to be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to play him, because what if he doesn't play, and then you have nobody else? It was kind of unfortunate.
Yeah. 12 catches on 14 targets for 172 and 2 touchdowns. So Godwin's looking like a very high wide receiver 2 this year. If not, could end up in that low wide receiver 1.
He's on pace for 1,000, I believe.
I think he's on pace for 1,500 yards and 16 touchdowns and and 104 catches.
Bruce Arians' offense, baby.
Yeah. The wide receiver 2 also came out of that Buccaneers-Rams game, and that is Robert Woods. Didn't record a touchdown, but had 13 catches on 15 targets for 164. And then our third wide receiver was Devontae Adams, who had 28 points, who also had 10 catches on 15 targets for 180 yards, but couldn't turn that into a touchdown. Should have had a touchdown, but I feel like he slowed up on that.
He did slow up a little bit.
And he got caught. But anyways, great bounce back performance from Devontae Adams.
And Woods, both.
And Woods, yeah. Woods had been struggling through 3 weeks, so it's good to see them getting targets and in the receptions, even though the Rams threw the ball copious amounts of times. But anyways, on to the tight end. And our tight end 1 was actually Brennan's start of the week.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Austin Hooper.
22 points.
22 points on 9 receptions on 11 targets for 130 yards.
You mean the #1 pass catcher for the Falcons? Yeah.
At least you're saying pass catcher now.
Yeah.
He still is
He
a
used
wide
to be
receiver. Who needs? You don't even need Julio Holmes, bro. You just pick up Austin Hooper.
I feel like
More
the
fantasy
underrated
points.
Yeah, I feel like the underrated stat out of that you wouldn't really expect is the 11 targets.
Yeah, he's
Like-
had two weeks in a row where he's had a ton of targets.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan is comfortable throwing the ball to Austin Hooper.
I haven't
when
seen him
he's-
throw to a tight end like this since they had Tony Gonzalez.
Well, when he's getting pressured within a second,
Well, yeah. that
you gotta
offensive
throw
line
it to
is
the guy running the short route, and it's Austin Hooper.
pretty garbage. Tight end 2. So funny story about this one. While I was writing this, I asked people who the tight end 2 was because I was just typing it up, moving fast, being lazy. And then Brady goes, Jimmy Graham. And I go, that's funny. No, really, who is it? And he goes, no, it's Jimmy Graham. And it is. It's Jimmy Graham. He had 18 points this week. Just squeaking out Will Dissly on that one. 6 catches on 9 targets for 61 and a touchdown.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening again. I feel like that's like his ceiling. That's like a very high ceiling for Jimmy Graham.
It could happen again if Adams is out,
Yeah.
because they went to him on the goal line when Adams wasn't playing instead of obviously Adams. So if we get a week without Adams, he might get another. I could see him getting a touchdown this week without
Yeah.
Adams playing.
In our defense, we have the New York Giants who edged out the Patriots by a point.
Ugh.
I wouldn't expect this to ever happen again until probably week 17. But
Yeah,
when
it
they
play
doesn't
each other
matter
again.
when they play the Washington Redskins again. They had
I don't-
3 sacks, 4 INTs, and a touchdown. That's
I don't even know if I would do a week 17 because you're not going to see it because they're going to have Terry McLaurin in.
They only allowed 3 points.
Yeah, it's product of the Redskins just throwing picks, really.
Yeah, it was bad. We projected an offensive shootout, kind of like the Buccaneers Rams game. Not to that
And then
extent, but
Then they all turn the ball over.
they both did. Daniel
Yeah,
Jones
they
also threw 2 interceptions. It really wasn't that pretty. It was a pretty messy game. All right, on to Week 4 recaps. Those were our fantasy standouts for Week 4. On to the recap. We'll start with the Thursday night game. Eagles at the Packers. Eagles won 34-27. We talked about Jordan Howard. Alshon Jeffrey. Brady, he's heavily targeted in that offense.
Yeah, well, that's what I would think would continue to happen. He's a big receiver and go up and get it. He didn't get it, 3?
He had 3
Only
catches,
3
on,
catches
9
on
targets.
9 targets, which the yardage was low, but that's a good secondary he played against. The thing about the Eagles is they were 1-2 and they needed to win, and they switched to running the ball instead of passing it as much as they used to. So that, because they won and now they're 2-2, like, it was a change they made, and they won. That could be something that continues. They might throw less, run more, but Alshon is still a really good start, especially against worse secondaries, because the Packers secondary is really good.
The Packers defense looked not like they have in recent weeks. They could not stop the run. Obviously, we talked about Jordan Howard. Like the holes, a Peterbilt truck could have run through those holes.
Yeah, even Sanders had a good week. He had
Yeah.
12 carries on 72 yards.
Yeah, something like that.
So he still ran, like, they both ran well. Just Howard stole the show.
Yeah. And the Packers also didn't establish the run. I mean, they tried to. Aaron Jones had 13 carries after Jamal Williams got knocked out of the game by another helmet-to-helmet hit, unfortunately.
Yeah.
He did have a touchdown on the goal line, so it kind of helped his weeks fantasy-wise. But they could not get that ground game going at all.
Yeah,
It was non-existent.
the Eagles' run defense, they've stopped, I think, everybody they've gone against. No one's
Yeah,
gotten
they
like
have.
over 50 yards.
It was I remember reading something about that as
So-
well, that they haven't done nobody's done well against them while running the ball.
Keep an eye on that if you have a running back playing the Eagles. It's not been good yet. It's 4 weeks now.
Yeah. All right, on to probably, I want to say the messiest. Yeah, we'll go with the messiest. The next game is going to be the second messiest. But the Redskins lost to the Giants 24-3. The Redskins, in this game, there was 6 total interceptions. and 4 of them were by Washington quarterbacks. This is the first game we saw with Dwayne Haskins. I know Brennan had something to say about the
Yeah,
Haskins.
I don't know if you saw what Matthew Berry tweeted about it as well, but I agree with him completely too. Is my thought is this was not the game for the Redskins to throw in Haskins and expect something. Like they were already losing, they were already down, things were already looking bad. They're out without McLaurin, and they decide now is their chance to throw in Haskins and try to give this new quarterback the opportunity to come out and do well. No, it was Gruden's came out and he was thinking that he's not looking good. They're probably gonna fire him, and he's like,
About
oh well, maybe
time.
I throw in Haskins and he'll have a standout game and save us from this week. No, you can't expect it. You can't expect this kid to come in and do well with a already struggling team in an already struggling game. So I think this was something that this does not, in my opinion, predict how Haskins is going to be in the future or anything like that. So I know people who may not know much about the Redskins don't think that this is what you're going to see for forever with Haskins. I think there's going to be a turnaround, but this was, in my opinion, this was a horrible decision to throw Haskins for his first chance at a game.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
And then next week they have the Patriots.
Yeah,
Like,
they have even.
Yeah.
It should not be Haskins in
No,
there against
No.
it shouldn't be.
This is not. I
Bad.
hope Keenum's the starter. I have Haskins in Dynasty, and I don't want to see him start.
No,
switched
he's
up.
not ready. He's not
No.
ready.
They switched off Keenum so quickly. Like he's been playing well. I know like he had a lot of turnovers against the Bears, but like
It's the Bears.
he threw 1 interception, but he like I don't know. I agree with Brennan too. Like it still should have been Keenum out there.
All right, on to the good part of this game. Wayne Gallman had 18 carries for 63 yards and a touchdown. Also had 6 receptions for 55 and a touchdown through the air. Are running backs is that just because of the scheme that they run that their running backs are pretty good, or is that Wayne Gallman?
That's the Redskins defense that you saw.
Or it could be, it could be the Redskins defense.
I would agree that it's definitely the Redskins defense.
And-
I mean,
and
he did play well, but
Yeah, I mean 18 carries, 63 is like not a great. You're not gonna write home to your mom about that one. It's not great. I mean, he did score. He scored twice. Yeah, he's caught one as well.
He caught one as well. Yeah, he had
Yeah,
6 catches.
yeah,
The receiving
and
numbers are nice,
Mhm.
but the rushing numbers aren't impressive.
No.
Basically, is how I see it.
Danny Jones, he also came. He seemed to, come back down to earth.
Yeah.
23 for 31 for 225 and a touchdown and 2 interceptions. Still, they got the job done. That's all that matters. But fantasy wise, I think he had 12 points, something like that.
Yeah.
So not an awful day, but
I think
great.
outside of like the picks, I don't know. He'll probably clean that up a little bit, but 250 and a touchdown or 2 is going to be something that's about as well as he's going to play
I agree.
the rest of the season.
I agree. On to the second messiest game of Sunday.
I don't know how you think this is the second messiest game.
What was messier?
The Rams game.
Oh yeah, that one was pretty.
Bucks
Okay,
Rams game,
it was
55 to 40. Yeah, that was
Yeah, well,
a pretty messy game.
But the reason why I think it's messy is because the Chiefs were favored by so much in this game.
I mean, the Rams were favored by that much too.
True.
All right. Well, anyways, Chiefs at the Lions. Chiefs pulled it off in the last second, 34-30. Patrick Mahomes didn't have a touchdown in this game.
Yeah, that's product of the fact that the Chiefs fumbled every other time they touched the ball.
Yeah.
Nothing Mahomes did. He's throwing the ball. He's getting it out. It was a tougher matchup, and they were getting some pressure on him. But like, I think 3 fumbles by the Chiefs. I know Sammy and Miko had one.
Yeah.
That's what happens when your offense turns the ball over. It affects everybody on that offense. Patrick Mahomes, every receiver, every running back. So hopefully that stuff doesn't continue.
Yeah, I also hope it doesn't continue. A guy that had an okay game, he's still kind of struggling to start the year. That's Travis Kelce. Had 7 catches, 8 targets for 85 yards. Still no touchdowns. And Darrell Williams also saved his week with 2 rushing touchdowns, but both those came from the 1-yard line.
Yep.
So if you started Darrell Williams, you were happy. But
Yeah.
something I want to talk about with this game is those high drafted tight ends. Travis Kelce, Zach Ertz, George Kittle, all really haven't blown us away. Like there's been much deeper tight ends going off, such as like Austin Hooper. The guy's
Yeah,
is currently tight end 2.
Why draft the Kelsey, Kittle, and Ertz in the second, third, and fourth rounds when you can pick up Austin Hooper in the 9th or the 10th round?
If not even later. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just they haven't scored. I think like you. Okay, Kelsey scored once.
He has scored one time.
Of those 3,
Well, he should have scored twice, but P. Holmes wasn't looking at him when he threw a pass.
Yeah,
so.
that's true.
Yeah.
Of the 3, they have 1 touchdown, but they're still all top 10, top 12. And Kittle had a bye, and he's still I think he's like 11 or something.
Yeah, he's still up there. I mean, they're still playing good. They're just not. You're not seeing these breakout numbers from them that people were expecting to see this year.
Yeah, the monster weeks aren't happening, but the volume's still there, and you're still happy with it. It's just like, it's like, come on, score a touchdown. That's the only frustrating part, really.
Speaking of touchdown, James Conner has a touchdown.
Yes, he does. Jalen Samuels gotten the ball a lot this game, too.
And I'm currently losing. Which is not good. I need Tyler Boyd to pick it up. Anyways, on to the Lions. They had a really good game, and they probably should have won this game. I say probably. They should have won this game.
Thanks,
it's a lot. Yeah. Carry-On had a good game, though. His one blemish was that fumble on the 1-yard line that was taken back for a 100-yard touchdown return.
Yep.
It was a fumble, too.
It was. No, it was a fumble. For sure a fumble. But
Stafford looked good.
Stafford looked good. He looked like his Pro Bowl self.
Kenny G.
Kenny G.
Kenny G. With that touchdown in the fourth quarter, that touchdown catch.
Pretty.
Dude.
It was nice. He looked good.
Dude, Kenny G looked smooth on that one. Like some
he didn't
smooth
even like
jazz.
his numbers weren't even that crazy either.
No.
You know what I mean? Like he had 5 catches on 9 targets, 5 receptions on 9 targets, 67 yards. But those 2 touchdowns were like.
Yeah, very nice. He almost had a third.
He should have had a third. I don't think they should have called that.
Yeah,
I think they should. That's where I disagree with you on that one. But okay.
Okay. Well, another big number. Kenny G is one of the most targeted players in the red zone.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's a big dude.
You like seeing that as a fantasy owner.
Yeah, we're already disagreeing on fumbles. Can't wait to get for the Cowboys game, but here we are.
Carry-On had a good, really, really good game.
He really did. He really did though. He actually, I mean, when you watched it, you could see him. 26 for 125 is pretty dang good in my opinion. Even though he doesn't see the end zone because he fumbles, but that number stands out as being fantastic. When you watched him run the ball, I mean, he looked good when he was running it, and we said he was going to be good running it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was it showed. It's just that one little blemish, like we said, is what screwed him out of that week.
Running backs have done well against the Chiefs this year. I mean,
offenses have done well against the Chiefs.
Yeah, they do better than normal, but like you kind of think like, oh, they're going to throw it because they're down, and it's really kind of. You even saw the Ravens do it. The Ravens were down, but they were still running with Mark Ingram.
Yes.
It was This was a close game, but they're still really running with Carry-On, and they're teams are having success running the ball versus the Chiefs. It's a big note for my guy's playing the Chiefs. I'm probably going to put him in this week, kind of a thing.
Yeah, and then there's Patrick Mahomes, but like, yeah.
Yeah.
You can't really you can't game plan for Patrick Mahomes. He can do it all.
That dude's incredible.
I think he was in the top 20 of rushing leaders this week, just as in like yards, not fantasy wise, but just in yards. I think he was in the top 20.
P. Holmes,
and he doesn't normally run the ball that much. He can, but he doesn't because he's a cannon for an arm. Doesn't have to.
Throw it 80 yards instead.
Yeah, from his knees. All right, on to the Titans-Falcons game. Titans came away with the victory, 24-10. The offense put on a show, and they came out with the foot on the gas.
They're playing the Falcons.
It's the same argument that you're playing the Dolphins.
Right, but Mariota looked. Those were some crisp passes from Mariota. I will give him that.
He finally looked like an NFL quarterback.
Look, I refuse to buy into any sort of Mariota hype. If any of you want to buy into the Titans, go ahead. I have no desire to do it.
I'm not buying into it. I'm just noting that I'll give him credit. Those were some really good passes this week, and that's why they won.
The only person on the Titans that I am anywhat excited for is the future of AJ Brown, and
Yes, sir.
hoping that someday Mariota leaves and AJ Brown can either play with somebody who's a decent quarterback or go somewhere else. I mean, he only got the ball 3 times for 94, but he had the 2 touchdowns. I mean,
One catch
I
was
would
great.
like to see. Yeah, the one catch was crazy. I would
Ooh.
like to see him with more receptions, and not him playing the Tyrell the Gazelle role of last year. With the
Yeah.
Chargers, and seeing him not just be this deep threat option that just comes out randomly in games. I'd like to see him get those numbers up for receptions. But as a rookie wide receiver, he's coming out strong, making NFL plays, and it's nice to see. I
Yeah.
will admit.
And there's something to note, and it's not just AJ Brown, but a lot of there's some rookie
Yes,
receivers who splashed
Marquise
early.
Hollywood Brown, like
Terry
yeah,
McLaurin.
Terry McLaurin, yeah, but there's like going forward, especially AJ Brown has looked good. Nothing like today was a great game, but these receivers traditionally for fantasy play better like weeks 8 to 16 or 17, and not weeks 1 to 8. So
yeah, exactly.
if you're starting to see some talent like blossoming, I think dashing AJ Brown wouldn't be a bad idea. I think this week people are gonna pick him up, and then next week he's gonna do nothing, and then they'll drop him again. If you have a spot, I think stashing AJ Brown, that could be a guy who wins you later in the year as opposed to
Yeah.
now.
I agree. And that defense still looking great.
Well, he played the Falcons offensive line.
Yeah, here we are again.
But the Falcons
I
looked
know.
like they were clicking on all cylinders last week, even though they lost to the Colts. Like that
Yeah,
second
they
half,
did.
they looked like they had found their rhythm, they found their groove, and they came to this one and just forgot how to play football, I guess. But on to the Falcons. Disaster.
Yeah,
That's
if you can't block, this is what happens.
yeah. This is how I fear this season's going to go for the Falcons. Like they've been so good.
How it's gonna go, how it is currently going.
It's how, but I mean, if they don't fix something, if they don't figure it out soon.
I mean, if you look at looking at Matt Ryan's numbers this week, 35 for 53, 397 yards. Not having a touchdown hurts, but 35 or 53, you could improve that a little bit more, but still threw for 400 yards in the air. I mean, it's not like he's not. I mean, they threw the ball 53 times. It's not like there's not potential. It's just you're just not seeing anything come out of it.
Yeah, it's
And
frustrating.
It's really frustrating. Like they have so many. Like there's so many like targets on that team. There's so many options.
And they're so talented.
Exactly. They're such a talented team, and it is just not happening.
Getting wasted on a bad offensive line, and
you're watching it and you're like, how is this team not able to produce what they should be able to?
It's a lot like the Browns.
It comes
Yeah,
down
it's
to
similar.
blocking. I mean, exactly. It's crazy.
Yeah, you can't not block in the NFL.
I mean, Devonta Freeman was 12 for 28, which is gross.
It's awful efficiency.
But he saved his week. He saved his week with the 8 receptions, 72 yards. I mean, how does Julio Holmes get 4 receptions for 52 yards?
Yeah,
that guy his targets should be anywhere from 10 to 15 every
if not more than 15
game.
If not more than 15.
Yeah, exactly. Every single game.
I agree.
The fact that Julio only got 52 yards in a game it's sickening to look at that number.
Yeah,
it's how talented of a receiver that he is.
It's a good defense too, but if they can't block for Matt Ryan, I'm gonna say it too. Julio can't get open fast enough. I mean, he kind of can, but like, come on.
Yeah,
it's like even outside of a fantasy point, it's still like as a football fan, it's really frustrating to watch too. Mm-hmm. Just a fan of the game.
It's exactly being a fan of the game. It's hard to watch that, knowing how talented of a player he is. I mean, personally, I'm happy because Hooper, the #1 wide receiver / pass catcher for the Falcons, is getting the ball, getting those targets.
I think we found Brennan's next jersey.
But and I'm happy about it because there were so many people who were just looking at him this year, just going, yeah, he was a Pro Bowler last year, but like
Was he?
It's Austin Hooper. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
wow.
Austin Hooper. Like everyone kind of blew him off this year as kind of not being that, and they said it on a couple other shows that we were listening to and stuff like that. They were talking about. They were like, everyone kind of looked at him this year as being like eh, but kind of joking around like, oh, maybe he does something this year. Oh, we'll see. And he's proven, like he's proving that he can do it.
Sure. Let's go to more blocking
Yeah.
options. Blocking. Well, they improved this week. The Browns, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the next game is the Browns and the Ravens. Browns pulled out the win, 40-15. I got my whiff that I wanted. Thank
40
God.
to 15, 40
40
to
to
25.
25, whatever. It should have been like 18, but they scored a BS touchdown when time.
Willie Snead.
Yeah, Willie Snead. A lot of people lost their weeks off that touchdown because they had Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Anyways, we talked about Nick Chubb. Jarvis Landry had himself a day. Brady stood the week. Complete whiff on that one.
I picked the wrong receiver. Should have picked Odell.
Yeah. Funny
Christ,
story
that's
about
so
that
frustrating.
one. I was playing my aunt in our Funhouse League, and she had Jarvis Landry starting over Amari Cooper. And since it's her first year, I gave her a call and was like, hey, like 20 minutes before kickoff, I was like, hey, just a heads up, you have Jarvis Landry in your starting lineup instead of Amari Cooper. I would recommend switching them. And she was like, yeah, I was going to do that anyways, but thanks for the reminder. Switched them, and Jarvis Landry goes off. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. It looks like they covered Odell really well.
They did.
And Seals, Jones, and Landry were the product of weaker coverage.
Yeah, Seals Jones found himself on that touchdown. No one was within 20 yards of that guy.
Yeah.
That was I was like, who's covering him? Like, someone needs to cover him.
Exactly. Buy low on Odell, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, if you can.
I think he's still going to have a really good year. They've been tough matchups for him.
We already talked about it. It's Baker Mayfield throwing the ball is.
Yeah.
And
the offense,
Nick Chubb,
he
when
looked
they give
a little
him the
bit.
chance to run the ball is fire.
Yeah, it does help when you're able to run the ball the way the
That'll
Browns
help
do.
Odell as well.
That'll help the whole. I think that helps the whole offense. If they're able to run the ball, the passing game will be there at some point because they can't just blitz all the time and be like, oh, we just have to get to it within 2 seconds, and you won't be able to get it to anybody.
Yes, sir. So hopefully for the Browns, this is what we expected and what we continue to see fantasy-wise.
Yeah, I think both Jarvis Landry and Nicholas Chubb. I just called Nicholas Chubb.
Nicholas.
Nick
you know the guy.
Like I know the guy. Like Nick
Chubb.
Chubb will be like big players if the Browns want to make the run that they were all hyped up to do.
Mm-hmm.
With the Ravens, Lamar Jackson had another okay passing game. 247, 3 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions don't really help. I don't have his running stats on here. I guess I forgot to put those in.
He still had
he had a good game. I'm not gonna say he didn't.
We can say that we're comparing his numbers now to the first 2 games he had, so that's why it doesn't seem like we're saying he played as well. I mean, the guy still got 23 fantasy points this week.
Quarterback 3 on the week.
He's consistently been over. He has been over 20 points in every single week and has been over 30 points in 2 of those weeks. So he's still there. It's just he didn't have as stand out of a week as he's had in the last couple passing wise.
No, and that defense didn't help him out at all either.
Yeah, the defense doesn't look amazing.
It's looked awful the last 2 weeks. Granted, the first week they played against the Chiefs, or the last week they played against the Chiefs. So you kind of expect maybe a bounce back, like, oh, we have something to prove, but that wasn't the case either. Minus 7 points. Yeah.
And they didn't get to the goal line really, so Ingram didn't get to score.
His efficiency is still there though. 12 for 71 yards still looks good.
Yeah, insanely. I mean, that's why you still keep him. You just have to understand this may be something that happens. If he doesn't get to the goal line, he probably won't score. But this offense should be good enough to where they can consistently get down in the red zone. And he's the guy, which is nice.
Yeah. All right, on to the next game, Raiders at Colts. Raiders pulled off the upset victory away against the Colts 31-24. I mean, they got off to the quick start, first 2 drives, touchdowns. Josh Jacobs looked like he was able to run the ball pretty well. They also had what was his name? Trevor Davis.
Trevor Davis,
wide receiver.
What was it like a 70-something yard run. What wasn't it?
Jet sweep run.
A 70-yard jet sweep that ended up. He was number 11 on the top rushers this week. So they were able to run the ball, which is
There was
you need in this game.
There was a lot of good things that I saw this week. I remember I talked about Josh Jacobs having a pretty big week this week is what I thought was going to happen. And he didn't have a horrible week. I really wanted them to get him more involved in the passing game. Of course, the Raiders weren't playing from down like we said they have been, so
yeah, so it didn't happen.
so it didn't happen. There was the one he did catch the one pass for like 20-something yards again. That's like 30. I was like 30 yards this week. So I mean, at least they showed a little bit of promise there. I would like for him to obviously be more involved again with the passing game. So hopefully that happens. With the Colts, it was hard to watch the end of that game because I thought for a second the Colts were going to come back and win it.
Yeah.
Imagine like Brissett throws his first interception of the year on that drive.
Also went for a touchdown.
To lose it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was saying, to lose it, like that sucks.
Yeah, that was.
He's played so well too.
Yes,
they missed Hilton.
Yeah, with Ty out, that offense just looked completely lost. And when they went down so early, they just abandoned the run game. Like Mac was a non-factor.
Yeah, and I thought Mac was gonna have a big week this week.
So did I.
Because they were supposed to be ahead.
Well, they were, yeah. But when Brissett's only completing 52% of his passes,
yeah,
they still lost by only 7. So it's like if this offense could just
if with Hilton, I think they win. Honestly,
I agree. All right, on to the next game, which is a very scrappy game. Patriots at the Bills. The Bills should have won this game.
Yes,
it should have won this game.
It hurts, man. Bills Mafia, it was there.
If you can't tell, we're not very big Patriots fans.
The Patriots played dirty.
They do.
They did a little bit.
Josh Allen, dude, the Bills had that, man. Ugh.
But when you throw 4 interceptions,
yes, he did not start well.
Yeah.
But at the end of that game, they should have won. The Bills turned it around in the second half, and it showed after the horrible first half.
Mm-hmm. This Patriots defense is pretty good.
Yes. Patriots, let's see. How did my sit of the week do this week? Oh, Sony Michel, did he do anything this week? I don't believe so. I'm pretty sure Sony Michel, I don't even know what he was at.
He had,
it was not
good. It wasn't proficient at all.
17 sessions?
17.
He gets the opportunities, but the efficiency isn't
there. But the efficiency isn't there. Like I said, he was going to get... You saw the same amount of attempts as you saw before, and I said that was going to happen, and he just didn't have anything to show for it. I mean, he only got 6 fantasy points this week.
Yeah.
So what we expected to happen.
Nothing in the receiving game.
Chalk up another hit right there for me.
Yep. I already did it. So don't add it. I already did all the hits and whiffs onto the scoreboard. So don't add yourself one because I already did it. The only question I had, and we'll talk about it on Wednesday, was Marvin Jones. So we could talk about it on Wednesday. Next game up, Panthers, Texans. We already talked about Christian McCaffrey, how he just went off. My favorite play was that he juggled the ball.
Catch.
He came down with it and slid about 4 yards and got the first down.
Yeah, that was.
And then Bill O'Brien decides to challenge it. Like, he didn't catch that. Like
he lost a timeout.
Yeah, which eventually could have cost them the game in a way.
Kind of.
But the Texans' offense has probably looked the worst they've looked all year. Week 1 against the Saints, they looked like they were a potent offense. Like they have the weapons to win this division, and they could probably, they're a contender. But with Watson on his back, 75% of the plays.
Another product of bad offensive lines.
Yep. Offensive lines can win you football games, and they'll win you championships.
And they'll lose you games too.
Yeah. The Panthers defense played really well in this game too.
They did.
Yeah, and they're good
defense. They played very well in this game. Was it Reed had a fantastic game.
And he got hurt, but yeah.
He got hurt, but he came back. So he played really well. I know his brother plays for the Texans too, so it was cool to see.
Yeah, they forced 3 fumbles.
Yeah.
Like they looked like they were in playoff form, but the first thing is they got to get to the playoffs first.
Yeah. This is opportunity to buy low on DeAndre Hopkins as well, just to wrap up
I
the
mean,
Texans.
come on,
he's
how
been-
does
he's
how
been
does a
struggling
player
so
like
much.
DeAndre Hopkins only get 41 yards? It blows my mind.
I think it'll turn around. So if you can buy
it
low, I
should.
would do it.
It should. All right, Chargers at Dolphins. Another big game. Chargers actually did a lot more than I thought they would because they had a lot of injuries going into this one. Mike Williams, Travis Benjamin, Justin Jackson, Hunter Henry, Virgil Green, all out due to injury. And Melvin Gordon, who was active, didn't play a single snap. I'm not surprised by that. Austin Eckler, as his final game as the full-time running back, went out with a huge game. 136 total yards and a touchdown on 23 touches. He's going to be in that offense even though Melvin Gordon's back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's gonna be in the offense. You're gonna see him.
He's going to get some serious playing time.
And they play the Dolphins, so
He'll have
and
some
they play the
days where he's
Dolphins.
he'll have some days where he's gonna sneak back up into fringe RB1 just because
Yeah.
he's so electric when he gets the ball.
He's very elusive when he gets the ball. All right, and the Dolphins, they had their first lead of the season.
God.
Very early in this game, Josh Rosen hit Devontae Parker with a 34-yard touchdown and put them up 7-3 in the first quarter. Unfortunately, that's the only highlight from this game for them.
They keep dropping the ball, man. They're
Yeah.
not helping themselves.
The Dolphins are bad. Let's just leave it at that. Dolphins are bad. If you have a Dolphin, I probably wouldn't start them. But actually, I take that
I
back.
still wouldn't start them.
I don't know if I'd start them, but a little later in the show, we'll talk about another Dolphin that you might want to keep your eye on. All right, on to the Bucks-Rams game.
this was the
fantasy
grossest game of the whole. Like, you want to talk about messiest game? This was it. I mean,
Well,
this was back and forth.
I feel like it was
just
messy on the
nothing.
Rams' part.
Like,
Not really the Buccaneers' part.
It was just, I mean, the
Oh,
Bucks still gave
Buccaneers.
up 40 points. I mean, like, if you want to be like
Yeah.
realistic on what was messy, what is defense? This is a Big 12 college game right here. Is what you just watched.
It did
Like,
look like that.
I mean,
Did both these quarterbacks come from Alabama and then transferred to Oklahoma?
it was literally it was literally Jameis Winston throwing the ball to Chris Godwin and his receivers, watching did Ronald Jones was the one that had the most points this week, right? I think he was the one that did the best
19
this week.
Didn't they
carries.
both score?
They both
Yeah,
scored
they both
touchdowns,
scored.
but Jones had 19 carries.
Still see the running game for the Buccaneers do pretty well again, and it's just like it was nothing but an offensive throwout between both these teams. Shootout, I'm sorry, my bad. We got Jameis threw for 385 and 4 touchdowns. Like, this is what we've wanted to see the whole time, and like against the Rams of all teams. It was kind of like watching it. You were like, wait, what is happening? Like, why are the Buccaneers choosing this game to be the game that they shell out on?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, let's talk about the Rams too. I mean, there was so much that happened on the Rams. I mean, Jared Goff, I mean, he threw 57 times or something like that.
68.
68.
Yeah, 68 times.
Way too
I mean,
many.
it's a ridiculous amount. I mean, and you still saw the production from all of the receivers.
And
You
they
saw
still lost.
Robert Woods had I don't even remember his stats for Robert Woods. You had Cooper Kupp was over 20-something points.
They
Cooper
each had
and Robert
15
both
targets.
had 15
you,
targets.
over 15
you
targets.
still had Brandon Cooks was like around like 15 points in fantasy wise. Todd
Yeah,
Gurley
that
had a fantastic game where he was involved in the passing game. I mean,
Yay!
clearly with 68.
Gerald
receptions,
Everett
you
even
saw
had a
that-
touchdown.
Gerald Everett. I mean, it was just like both teams were scoring, and if you just watched it, you were just like, wait, touchdown, wait, touchdown.
Yeah,
wait.
it looked like the Bucks were going to run away with this, and then the Rams really fought back, and then the Bucks got another interception, and then the Rams returned an interception for a touchdown.
It was just back and forth.
Such
It was
a
the whole.
hot-
Yeah, on
Yeah,
that Rams interception for a touchdown, Marcus Peters got flattened at the goal line. I don't
Oh
know if you guys
yeah,
saw
he
that.
did.
That guy
Yeah,
got
he did destroy.
annihilated by an offensive
Unluckers.
lineman. But yeah, a little buyer's remorse on that $134 million contract, Brady.
I mean, they had him throw it 68 times, and
I
they
mean,
scored 40.
You can't get.
So
this is,
you got to be happy with that.
But
you can't get mad at the Rams. You score 40 points in a football game, you should be winning it in the NFL.
He started horribly.
But he had 4
But-
turnovers just
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah,
3 interceptions
That-
and a fumble. That went for a touchdown. That fumble went for a
that'll-
touchdown.
yeah. That'll clean itself up, I think.
I hope so. They got absolutely embarrassed at home. I think they absolutely embarrassed.
Yeah.
Even though putting up 40 points. Next game, Seahawks went into Arizona and won 27-10. Chris Carson had over 100 yards on the ground, and he didn't fumble the ball. First time
Yay.
all season he did not have a fumble during the game. And the Falcons, the Seahawks had the ball for over 33 minutes. Like, they really controlled this game. Couldn't
That's
trust.
crazy.
Russell Wilson threw the ball 28 times, which is pretty low if you're looking at some of the numbers that these guys had, but still the number 3 quarterback on the year in fantasy, which is crazy. Thinking like we're just gonna run.
Yeah, well, that'll happen in games where they're ahead.
Yeah, they were playing. They were
That's
playing the Cardinals.
The normal day for Russell Wilson.
David Johnson had a good game though.
He did, but that's about it.
I would have loved to have seen him with a touchdown at the end of it. I mean, I didn't need it, but him going, 11 carries for 40 yards is, about what you'd think you'd probably see around,
if they're losing, yeah.
If they're losing, that's probably what you're going to see. But I mean, I liked the fact that he had 8 receptions on 11 targets for 99 yards. I mean,
that's feels good.
Yeah, that was a really nice touch to add with the David Johnson stats that I wanted to see, and I hope that continues into the future.
Yeah. Now going to the defensive game. My game.
Yeah, we're gonna go into Brady's game.
I loved watching this game, man.
I actually didn't watch this game.
It was so boring to watch, but it was good because of defense.
I loved watching it. I
didn't even put the Cowboys Saints score in here. I just realized
this was an insanely great game for the Bears,
on there.
even though they only scored 16. Yeah. Dalvin Cook had 40 yards rushing.
Yeah, they stuffed him.
Oh no, he had 35. They had a total of 40 yards. Yeah. They had a total of 40 yards rushing. And then the Vikings can't throw the ball now because they have committed so much to the run that no one is prepared to. It doesn't look like they're ready to be able to throw it. And they had one drive where Diggs got a few passes, but
he went over 100 yards.
Yeah, and it was a lot of it was the last drive that's a drive that Cook scored on. That's that was it. That's all they really did. The Vikings touched the ball. They had 2 possessions in the first half. 2 possessions.
That's insane.
That's great game planning offensively by the Bears because they kept the Vikings off the field, and their defense is just that good.
Yeah, they controlled the game, and that defense is still.
And that's all the Bears have
insane.
to do.
Yeah.
And on that note, that's why the Bears' offense for fantasy isn't very flashy because that continues to happen. And they spread the ball out so much, no one's gonna have the volume that you'd like. But you do like to see 21 carries from Montgomery, which is
the volume there is nice. The efficiency, not so much. But.
Yeah, and it's one of those where it was the second half and they were running the ball to run the clock out, so the Vikings stacked the box, and they're a good defense. They're really good running defense. But I think you'll see some better stuff going forward, especially if he's carrying the ball that much.
Yeah. And Cohen had the only touchdown for the Bears.
Only touchdown, and Allen Robinson looked amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if some of the catches he had this week.
It's because Taylor Gabriel wasn't playing with him.
Breaking news, and this has to do a lot with me. James Conner is currently in the medical tent on the sideline holding his hamstring. Not that I'm loving injuries, but for the sake of my team, I need him to stop.
Sounds like you're loving injuries.
I'm not loving it. I hate to see people get hurt, but he's already beating me. He's already beating me, so I need Tyler Boyd to get some more targets for sure. He's only got 3 today. Anyways, next game, Jaguars Broncos.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, Gardner Minshew has some superpowers. I think he managed this game. I mean, as a 6th-round quarterback, he's able to come in and get wins. Like he won last week against Tennessee, and he pulled out the. No, shut up.
He almost scored. He literally got to the 1.
Made some good throws when he needed to, but the real story is Leonard Fournette. He had 29 carries for 225 yards.
The Fournette believers unite.
Yeah,
still no touchdowns.
Player punchers wanted.
Still no touchdowns. Which, funny enough, he actually got into like a little altercation with someone on his own team.
I watched it.
At the end of the game, I'm like, "What are you doing?" Yeah, after they had already won.
I was begging him for him to throw the punch. I really was. That would just make it so great. I mean,
how many times did he touch the ball?
A lot. 29
carries, and it's 31 times he touched the ball.
31
times. That on the ground was 225 yards. Are you kidding me? That's insane.
You love
that
the
is
volume,
insane. Man. What even is the average for that?
What is
the carry average?
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, 7.8.
That's ridiculous.
That's insane.
On 29 carries, he's averaging 7.8 yards.
7.8 yards. That's
nuts.
ridiculous.
That's volume for you, though. Like, it's not that every play he's getting 7.8. He's getting the ball, touch, touch, touch. It's always happening. Then he breaks 1 or 2 runs out. He had an 80-something yard run, and that's
Yeah.
what you get when you invest in volume.
Yeah, I mean,
Especially at the
even his
position.
well, that's
backup.
what you hope when you invest in volume.
Even his backup had a good. Even he had 12 carries, so he could have had 41 carries in this game.
Yeah.
Because Armstead's gotten on the field all of nothing except for this last game, but the Broncos just can't stop the run.
No, they can't.
They
They can
can't.
stop the pass. They have a really good corner.
Yeah,
Mr.
they have Chris Harris. Well, they finally got their first sack of the season in Week 4. I think they got 5 of them, actually.
Yeah.
Flacco played well.
Yeah, he finished in the top 5 or 6 or 7.
Yeah,
or
he was there. Cortland Sutton 6 receptions for 62 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Emmanuel Sanders had 5 catches on 9 targets for 104, but no touchdowns. So through the air, Broncos are looking good.
Yeah, that's what happens when you don't have Jalen Ramsey against you.
Well, yeah, the defense looked very bad without Jalen. 0 sacks after a 9-sack game. They have 0 in the next one against the Broncos.
Yeah, Sutton's intriguing.
He is. He's on pace for 128 targets this year.
Yeah, that's really nice. And he's young, and that's
incredible.
Somebody to maybe try to trade for. Maybe not after this week, but after a down week, you might want to give him a glance. Maybe somebody's trying to move him.
Yeah. All right, on to the Sunday night game. The Cowboys lost to the Saints 10-12. This game was so boring, I turned it off.
It was horrible to watch.
I hated watching this game.
It was
You guys don't like defense like me.
Oh, I like defense, but like, come on. You guys are in the NFL. Like, the reason why I turned it off is because offensively, it looked just awful. It wasn't even like good defensive plays. It's just poor communication and drop passes.
The Saints played good defense.
The Saints did play good defense. I'm not saying I'm just saying not all of it was good defense. Like there were some plays the Cowboys could have capitalized on and they didn't.
I was not impressed with Zeke at all.
No,
through none of it.
18 for 35 and a touchdown.
I was at the point where I was like, just put in Tony Pollard, please, because I don't want anything to do with
He
Zeke.
didn't have a single snap.
That's crazy too.
Yeah,
exactly. Watching Zeke play this game hurt. It hurt.
Yeah, and they're missing
I was like,
Michael
please.
Gallup.
I mean, I don't blame that on that loss at all. But I mean, it did hurt not having Michael Gallup, but I don't blame that at all. I think watching Zeke have just such a mediocre game at what he's getting paid and what we paid for him irritates me, and it hurt. The play calling wasn't what I wanted it to be. And I think that the Saints came out and were just ready to beat the Cowboys, and that's what happened.
Yeah, last week we mentioned that they had a pretty easy schedule the first 3 weeks, and this was their first test.
And they sucked.
Their offense looked awful, as we've already talked about. But a lot of people are like, "Oh, they lost to the Saints." Like, "Oh, the Saints are so much better."
Everybody loves to hate on the Cowboys.
Everyone does, and the Saints love.
I watched all the
cheer.
Texans people hate on the Cowboys, and I was like, "Y'all need to do a rain check yourself."
Like the Cowboys are still 3-1. They still got a tough schedule.
And they have an offensive line, unlike the.
Well, Tyron Smith's out next week, so.
Well, they still have 4 other people.
They still have Martin.
I would have liked to
Williams,
see the Cowboys
Frederick.
win this game.
Yeah, I think it's a wake-up call too. I don't think
I agree. I kind of had a feeling that they were gonna get
they needed
one.
a kick in the pants because they had an easy going. You'd have liked to see him win, but
we'll see how they do coming up. They play a really good Green Bay team, so
hopefully Zeke can get gashed.
They're gonna be playing without
Howard.
Adams, so hopefully we'll see something. Yeah, hopefully you can see some good running
Jordan
game
Howard
for the Cowboys.
did that. Come on, Zeke.
Whoa! Don't be hating on Jordan Howard.
I'm not hating. I'm just
all
saying.
right. On to the Saints. Their offense didn't look bad. Like Teddy Bridgewater was able to take care of the ball against a very tough Dallas defense.
Good defense, yes.
Michael Thomas caught 9 catches on 9 targets, still proving he's probably the most reliable pass catcher in the NFL, in my opinion. Even Alvin Kamara, he didn't have a big game, but he really wasn't able to get any open space. I credit that entirely to Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith just smothering
Vander
him.
Esch played a good game, though.
Vander Esch was all over that field. That's the one thing I liked watching about this game was watching Vander Esch literally everywhere. He was in on every play. That guy doesn't take a snap off. It was incredible. But
Yeah, this is the formula for the Saints without Breeze.
game
Get the ball to
manage
get the ball to Michael Thomas, get the ball to Alvin Kamara,
and get out
and
of
let
the
them
way.
try to make plays. And I mean, this Dallas defense is very good. They're very fast. They're a fast defense, and that showed.
Yeah. All right, there's one more game, but it's currently going on. The Steelers are up 17-3 with 10 minutes to go in the third.
Tyler Boyd, please.
Yeah, me and Brady both need Tyler Boyd to get some more points here.
Game script wise, this is good, but
so far they're gonna have to pass the ball. But I need some points. We're looking great right now. But we're gonna move on to our Week 5 waiver pickups, or Week 4 going into Week 5 waiver pickups. We're gonna start with the tight end position. Ricky Seals-Jones, he's owned in 1% of leagues. He only got 3 targets, but he hauled in all 3 of them for 82 yards and a touchdown. Go ahead, Brennan.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely a tight end. If you need a tight end, like you lost David Njoku, you've been playing just whatever's left on the waiver wire for tight ends. I definitely think he's the person you pick up and you throw in your spot, and you can expect something. Not saying he's going to show out every week like he did this week, but I think you're definitely going to be able to get some sort of fantasy value out of him if you need a tight end.
Yeah. He's got a good matchup coming against the Niners next Monday, so it should be.
Tight ends are such an odd.
Yeah, they're really hit and miss. All right, Devontae Parker. We said there was going to be a Dolphin later on the show, but Devontae Parker is only owned in 8% of leagues. This is more of a boomer bust pick. If you play him, you're obviously hoping for the big play and the touchdown. Went for 70 yards on 4 targets with a touchdown, but he hauled in all 4 of those targets, so that was good to see their passing game starting to get a little bit better.
Yeah, he's going to be someone. It could, if the Dolphins get better, can't get worse, right?
No, they can't get worse.
And then this is also another time to pick up, like we talked about earlier, some rookie receivers. Even Miles Boykin is somebody to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah. Our other wide receiver to pick up, because there's 2, because they were both pretty big, is Cole Beasley. He's owned in 12% of leagues. He saw at least 10 targets for the second straight week, and has been at least 9 targets in 3 of the 4 games this season. He doesn't have huge upside, but it's a lot like Larry Fitzgerald. Not saying he's on the same level as Larry Fitzgerald, but they're very similar on the fact that they have very high floor, particularly in PPR formats. This guy should be on your roster.
He's at 12 the past 3 weeks. This past week, 14.5, 14.8, and 12.3. That's a
good number for a pickup.
It's a great bench player to have for a emergency start. And that's why they're there.
Yeah, is this going to be the new Crowder? I mean, we saw Crowder get 17 next week 1.
Yes, is Jamison Crowder 2.0.
Baby.
Yeah. Right,
that's what Cole Beasley's done his whole career too.
That's true. He's a target. The guy gets targets.
Dump off target machine.
Oh yeah. On to the running back position. So the running back position was very hard for us. There's a lot of running backs. Like everyone owns all the running backs. So this guy's owned in 56% of the leagues. Probably one of the lowest ones we've found. Jordan Howard. Yeah, we talked about him. If he's available, pick him up.
I would absolutely.
If he's available, definitely pick him up. But do not go out there thinking you're gonna get the same numbers that you saw.
No, you're not gonna get those numbers again.
He's definitely somebody that you can have. You can plug him in for a week that you need to throw in for a running back who's missing on a bye week, something like that. Someone gets hurt. He's definitely someone you can plug in, and you're gonna get some points out of it. But do not go in expecting you're gonna see the same production value as what you saw this past week. It's not gonna be the same.
Yeah.
No, he's going to be relying on goal line touches and goal line touchdowns. But that's a great thing to rely on for an emergency play.
Yes, exactly.
I agree. Next up, Gardner Minshew.
The man, the myth, the legend. Man
delivered another quality performance, this time against the Denver Broncos, and they're pretty good pass defense, I think. He's come out and he's displayed the ability to be an NFL quarterback and be able to play under pressure. He has more fantasy points than Aaron Rodgers this year.
Huh.
That stat blows my mind.
Yep.
Like if he's available, he's a good stream option, I think. 14% owned, by the way.
15.72 fantasy points this week.
That's not a lot, but that's a streamable option.
He's consistently been right around 15 to 17 points every single week.
That's good.
That's crazy.
That's good. So those are our
That's-
waiver pickups of the week. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there, Brady.
No, I don't think I really had anything to say.
So those are our waiver pickups going into week 5. We do have a new segment, and we're gonna make this quick. This is towards the end of the show. It's buy or sell. These are why did that get moved? These are bold predictions for the upcoming week, and I'm gonna kind of mix them around. And basically, I'm gonna ask a question. Brennan and Brady will say they'll buy it or they'll sell it. So we'll start off. Leonard Fournette, will you quit it? Leonard Fournette versus Carolina rushes for over 100 yards and has at least 1 touchdown in that game. Buy or sell, Brady? You're a believer.
I know, but not against the Panthers. Is he at the Panthers?
They're at home.
They're at home.
Actually, I don't know if that's actually true.
Oh, okay, I can look at
Double
it.
check. No, he's
they're
in
at
Carolina. In Carolina.
That's tough. I'll buy it because I believe in Leonard Fournette. It's the volume thing, and he's done it 2 weeks in a row where he has had, because of his volume, eventually at the end of the game, he gets some monster run, and you're like, yay!
Yeah. Brennan?
And
Sell.
yeah.
Carolina defense looked pretty good this past week. I don't buy into Leonard Fournette ever. I feel like he's very inconsistent. Yeah, the last couple weeks, like you did state that he had those couple breakout yards, garbage time. I don't think he keeps that consistent because with the exception of this past week, the week before when he did have, the last second breakout for 60-something, yards, you're not gonna see that every single week. That's why I'm selling it. I don't believe it.
All right. On to the next one. Nick Chubb against San Francisco. I believe it's in San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken. On Monday Night Football next week, has over 2 total touchdowns. So through the air, on the ground, whatever. Has 2 total touchdowns in the game. Buy or sell? Buy, Brennan?
Sell.
Sell. Oh, I thought you were definitely going to buy on that one.
They have a good pass defense, and
also you changed the touchdowns. I saw you had 3 on there.
I didn't mean to. I had a different one. It was a lot like the Melvin Gordon one, so I had to change it, and I left it.
Nope, I sell.
I
think you're going to see the return of Odell Beckham Jr. this game.
Okay.
I think this secondary is good, and they're going to have to run the ball.
I agree. Deshaun Watson at home against Atlanta throws 3 or more touchdowns. We saw Mariota do it, and Watson's a much better quarterback than Mariota. Can he get back on track and throw 3 or more touchdowns?
I buy into this 100%. I can see it.
I'm going to buy it too.
Deshaun Watson's waiting for another breakout game.
He is really talented, and he really wants to win. And I think
he's so good.
They're gonna get on track, especially against Atlanta being absolutely terrible.
Yeah, the Texans fan would say he's good.
I'm a Watson fan.
Mm-hmm.
All right. On to the next one. Melvin Gordon in his return, week 5 against Denver, gets over 25 total touches. Buy or sell?
That's a
25.
tough one. 25.
See, I'm selling that.
Large number.
It is a lot.
Sell for his.
But that guy was
first
getting
week.
that. Okay, I was like, I'm selling. I don't think I think he'll get over 25 touches, maybe 2 games the rest of the year.
Really?
I really think Eckler's going to be a huge part of that offense, even with Gordon back.
Yeah, that's the big thing too.
I don't think they're going to be like, oh, he's going to leave. Let's just run his legs off.
I'm going to sell that. I don't think 25 is what you're going to see in his first game back. You're going to see a good amount, but I don't think you're going to see 25.
I think you'll start seeing 25.
You can get close to it. I don't see it going over.
I'm not as crazy on Eckler as you are, so I can see
I am
25.
on owner, so.
Yeah, you are. I see he'll consistently get 25, just not his first week back.
I own the Austin Eckler of dogs, for God's sake. Like, they're built the exact same way, except one has 4 legs and he only has 2.
Short, black, burnt. I don't think they're built the same.
He's not. You're good. You're okay. All right. On to the next one. Tennessee's defense has 2 or more INTs at home against the Bills. I'm buying this
I
one.
could with I buy into that.
Say
Matt
Allen
Barkley
starts. Say Allen
if
starts.
Allen starts,
I'm buying this either way.
Really?
I don't know
I'd
about two
sell it.
or more. I could definitely see one. If Allen starts, I still. If Allen starts, I sell. If it's Barkley, I'd buy into it for sure.
I'll buy 2 turnovers. I won't buy 2 interceptions. I'll sell 2 INTs, but I will buy 2 turnovers. Not that that was a question. I'm just
Okay. That's fair. All right, Brandon, you'll like this one, and I already know you're going to buy it. Austin Hooper finishes the season as a top 3 tight end.
I think you should table this to Brady first, and then come back to me.
I'm also going to sell this as well.
There's 2. There's still Kittle, Ertz, and Kelsey, and they're playing really well and not scoring.
Okay, how about this? Top 5 tight end.
I think Waller and.
So you're still selling it top 5.
I could see him 5 or 6, but I'd sell it.
I'd buy into a top 5. If it's top 3, I sell.
Yeah.
Didn't see. I mean, granted. I mean, the Panthers won last week. We saw a lot of CMC, but Greg Olsen was nobody to joke about as a tight end. We didn't see him he didn't get open as much. He didn't see the targets, and I think that the Falcons could do a lot. You know, they have all the options that they do have. That maybe this is a game we see Hooper settle down for a little bit and not be that top play. So yeah. I would sell this week if it's top 5. I could see it. I'd be close. I could buy into it. But if it's top 3, I think I sell this week on Hooper.
There's too many weapons in Atlanta for him to be that high.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's going to do it for Monday's show. We'll be back again on Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at MadmenFF. You can find all the shows on YouTube. Search FFMadmen. Like and subscribe on that channel in case you missed a show.
Ring that bell.
Yeah, ring the bell for notifications if you want to. We now have a Facebook page that just launched earlier this week, so go like that as well. And then you can also catch the podcast version of this show on Spotify as soon as this show is over. That'll be going up immediately. So follow us on there as well, so you won't ever miss a show. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.